Welcome to Strider Tree Gear. Today I want to show you guys a little bit of the work we're doing today. We've got this nasty black oak that's leaning way over, and it's got rotten roots from some spar that has failed in the past. And we've got this beautiful new construction right here, and that they should have taken the tree out before. So now we got to do some fancy smashy stuff to get it down safely after the fact. Now we've got quite a bit of open space around us, so the game plan for this operation is to generally clear the area for these two trees to fall. We're gonna set a rope against the lean, directly against the lean, and try and fall it off to the left or the right, probably off to the right, once we've got some clear space. We're also hauling the wood today, and so we managed to back our chipper really close, or at least as close as we could get it. And we've got our couple of the ditch witch and the dingo to do all the major hauling. And hopefully we'll get this thing knocked out here in a few hours. So I want to show you guys that setup as it happens. So we're trying to drop this guy, and one of the tricks to falling trees, especially if they're going to be technical and they're not going to do exactly what we anticipate, is making sure there's nothing that can catch the tips, because whatever might catch the tips has some major leverage to change how the tree is going to fall. So in order to make sure we've got a nice clear shot for those bigger trunks, we're going to remove these two, which already have a bad union down here, and there's a rot hole, so it's no loss getting those out. We'll probably put a rope in this one, pull it that way, fall that one that way. There's a cedar up there we're gonna have to take out that's interfering in the top of this guy. So we'll take a couple of these little cedars out and drop them, and that whole piece ought to come just fine. And then right now, Dwight's getting the line set up into this other oak spar. So there's two other oak spars in this cedar that are all gonna interfere with our primary risk one from swinging to the right. So he's gonna get a rope set, make sure those are pulled in the correct direction, and then we'll have a nice wide open area to fall this one. It's setup is everything when you're doing tricky falling. There's no substitute for eliminating the potential points of failure. A lot of times what I'll tell my guys when I'm teaching them climbing, tree work is half just minimizing the variables. So this is a fairly straightforward operation potentially, but there's actually a lot of variables that could interfere with what we're doing. And so setting ropes on the back lean, removing trees in the way, all eliminates potential variables so that our falling problem is as simple as it can be. So that's kind of the plan, and hopefully we'll get some more video here as it progresses. So I've got a little microcosm set up of what we're gonna do with the big tree. There's a smaller one under it, but it's got almost the same lean, and it might be a little tangled in the tips. So I'm gonna set this rope here with quite a bit of tension on the GRCS, and we're gonna try and fall it 90 degrees to the lean with leaving this tension the whole time. This thing's pretty sweet. Put a few wraps on it, and it's actually got two different levels of mechanical advantage. This is the lesser mechanical advantage, and if I go the other way, it doubles it. So you can see it slipping just a little. That's not this slipping, that's branches breaking on the other end. It can really put some torque on this rope. Quite a bit more than a 2-to-1 or even a 5-to-1 setup. I think this is a 40-to-1 in this direction, but don't quote me on that. It's been a while since I've read the literature. Anyway, let's go look at the tree down here to show you how I've got this. You holding that, Josh? That's gonna be our primary anchor. Now, I don't want to stand it up too tall, because if I stand it up too tall, then I'm going to actually pull it into the other tree, and that's no good. So what I did was shoot my throw line over the top of this little cedar, dropped it down over a couple branches in that tree, and now we've got this lower tree ready to rock. So it's worth noting that the tips are pulled up a little bit into the bigger tree, so it's probably gonna snag. Just for the sake of my own peace of mind, I'm gonna put a second rope in there and pull it in the direction that we want it to fall, because the anchor I've got isn't gonna make it fall the right way, it's just gonna keep it from falling the way it wants to go. So with this back tie, we'll make sure it doesn't fall in the building. With a little bit of a side pull, we'll make sure it falls over here in our nice open space that we've got. Does that make sense, hopefully? And we'll get a quick shot of that as it comes down. So here we go. So we've got a variable I don't really like in the top of this tree. The tips are tangled up in the tree above it, and the more I crank on the GRCS, the less that's gonna wanna get out. So even though I've got the back tie and the sideways pull, which pretty much should limit the movement on this tree exactly the way I want, sometimes when the tips get caught, it does funny things. It's not gonna wanna pull over right away. I'm gonna end up cutting less hinge wood. And there's a few more things to think about. So what I had them do is loosen the GRCS up a bit, so that hopefully I can actually fall this away from the GRCS, kind of in line with the rope, and still clear the corner. Thankfully, this thing doesn't actually lean right directly square over the middle. It's a little bit off to the right, and I'm only trying to fall it a little bit more off to the right. So I don't have to swing it a full 90 degrees. And I think I should be able to make it drop away and then have the rope catch it and pull it over. But that's a lot of variables. If I wasn't really confident about it, I wouldn't recommend doing something like this. But it's a small tree, and we got plenty of rope and plenty of strength, so I think it should be fine, but we're gonna see right now. Perfecto! Oh, we got a knot that we just cinched so tight onto this thing. All right. So part of the trick with this tree is it leans really hard one way, but we don't have a good setup for a rope that's directly against the lean. We've got one that's pretty good, but it's too far in the opposite direction of where we want it to fall, so it's gonna pull the tree the wrong way. And then we've got some that are a lot farther away, which means more rope stretch, and then as soon as it settles into it, it's gonna be, you know, as it starts to fall, it's gonna get slack in the system a little bit. And so that makes this kind of tricky, like more tricky than it should be. So I just set up the GRCS, I cranked on it and it pulled it, and I didn't really like how it went. And then the GRCS loosened itself around the trunk, which is scary because you can't have that happen. So I'm thinking right now, if we look at this tree, maybe you can make some sense of it, but I'm thinking I'm gonna take that very high tie there, and we will leave it a little bit loose, but have it set so that once again, like the other little tree, I can let it fall into that a little bit, because this is the one that's pulling the wrong way. I don't want to crank on the tree real hard that direction. And I think I'm gonna set a second line through that lower big union off to one of these other trees that's gonna pull it more directly in line with where we want it to end up. And I'll probably put the ditch witch on it on a 2-to-1 or a rope jack on a 2-to-1 so that we can keep a steady pull on it as we're pulling it over. So that it kind of balances it out pretty well. We're gonna have to switch some ropes up because that's our shorter, beefier rope, and then we've got a longer one that we'll need for this. But anyways, that's the idea. 2 ropes, One to pull, one to support it as it starts to fall. Got to make sure it doesn't land on that darn house. See how it goes. Nailed it, first try. And the original rope that we've got on the GRCS is going to serve to support it as it falls to keep it from going on the building. So we got lots of pull with that 2-to-1 on the ditch witch. And the GRCS, which is pulling a little bit the wrong way, shouldn't be able to stop it. All right, it is the moment of truth. And I want to explain exactly what we got going here. I had to fiddle with the ropes a bit. We've got Josh over here on the GRCS. We've got a number of wraps on there. This is the primary support that is going to prevent it from falling in the direction of the lean. It's not perfect, it's not lined up quite right, which is why I've got him holding it rather than locking it off. I want him to be able to let go of it after the tree's mostly clear of the house and everything is good. So if we look at the tree from the back side here, we've got a second set of ropes through it on a 2-to-1 with the ditch witch. That is going to be our primary pulling rope. So that's what's going to give it momentum in the correct direction. And this rope's going to kind of counter it a little bit, but not as much as it looks. And he's going to be able to let that go after it starts going. These guys are going to be able to do the same thing. Once it starts rolling, Dwight is on the porter wrap with that. So after it's good and moving in the way we want, he can let that go as well. And so we just got to make sure that he doesn't let go before Josh does. As long as it goes Josh and then him, then it'll land right in the right spot. All right, so as soon as these guys are done goofing around, we'll get this thing cut. All right, well, thanks for joining me with that operation. The tree went great. Everything basically worked how I intended it. The ropes released, it fell nicely. We didn't blow anything up, except for the GRCS. So, as it turns out, I had the GRCS mounted in a way it wasn't right. It was my mistake. You're supposed to put a rigging block above the GRCS so the rope comes in from the top and then goes out through the pulley so that it stays oriented how it's designed to have the load. I didn't do that. We were pulling straight, and then when the full tension of that tree hit the bollard, it shifted and pulled the, what do they call that? Pulled the winch apart. Just absolutely exploded it right off the end. So this thing sits on here, and it's really solid this direction, but it's only got plastic holding it on this direction. So that popped off and sent shrapnel all across the yard. But the GRCS guys were awesome. I emailed them on their website. Within 10 minutes, they were back to me, texting me, just asked me to send them pictures of the parts I needed, and they're gonna have it sent out here today. So kudos to those guys there at the GRCS. But yeah, so that was it. That was the operation. Thanks for joining me here at Strida Tree Gear. If there's other particular work techniques or rigging techniques you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. We're always making new videos. Hopefully, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.